Casual family, welcome to WrestleMania Night One post-show reactions and conversation. I am your host, the Notorious D, and joining me tonight, as always, the queen of casual herself, Level Up Lauren.
What's up, y'all?
We are here to break down what we saw. Night one is in the books. Mixed reactions from the IWC. The casuals are standing firm in their beliefs. If you're feeling our vibe, do the right thing. Like, subscribe, comment, share, all of the above. And don't forget to join the Casual Wrestling Discord. It was going down tonight during WrestleMania. You could jump in for all the fun. Night 2 of WrestleMania. We hung out, we watched it, we talked our shit. If you've got a hot take yourself that you want us to talk about on tomorrow's show, go ahead and hit us up in the Discord. Drop a comment on this video or hit me up at questions@casualwrestling.com. Tonight's episode is brought to you by the Casual Wrestling merch store, but more on that in a minute. Let's get into it, Lauren. Night one is in the bag, and oh my God, Seth Rollins and Paul Haman have pulled off the ultimate WrestleMania heist. This was one of the best nights of wrestling I have witnessed in my entire life, and that's not me overreacting. It wasn't the most exciting of nights as far as surprises go, but what Triple H did tonight was he really let the in-ring stuff tell the story for night one of WrestleMania. And this is a night that the IWC is going to try to tear apart. They're going to call this boring because this was not typical WWE style for WrestleMania. We didn't reach into our bag of tricks and have a bunch of surprises. We let the superstars go out there with talent and just wrestling ability, tell the story of night one. And for me, it was one of the best nights of wrestling ever. They did what AEW constantly dreams of doing, and that is they put on a 4-hour wrestling show with 7 banger matches that is going to be talked about for weeks to come. But where do we start tonight? I think there's no better place than starting at the beginning of the card, and that is with Gunther and Jey Uso starting the show. This, to me, this is where this match had to be, especially given that there seemed to be like a groundswell of people who wanted Gunther to win this match, including yourself.
Yes.
You chose Gunther to win this match. I played around with the idea. I made jokes. I said I would love it. But ultimately, I think in our heart of hearts, we all had to know this was the plan the entire time. Now, I am going to say that early in the show, before the crowd is warmed up, it is tough to get everybody to do what you want them to do. I think the optics were about 80% of what WWE was hoping for. I don't think the yeeting and stuff like that was as visually spectacular as it was in arenas overseas and maybe in some of the smaller buildings. It did feel like to me that this match was a little bit underwhelming visually. Now, what happened in the ring I thought was good. I thought they told a well drawn out story. I thought Jey Uso looked good. I thought Gunther continued to look good. The finish of the match left a little bit to be desired, only for me because of the once again, back to the visual elements of what we were expecting. When you have a match where it's kind of a big release of tension, I think you like that 1, 2, 3, crowd explodes.
Yeah.
When you decide to go with the choke out, tap out finish, I think that it left the crowd a little bit stunned, which I think is fine. Overall, from a storytelling point, this was a great finish to the match because it brings back around the Jimmy Uso being choked out and Gunther choking out Jey Uso on numerous occasions. It brought the story back around, but I think from a visual spectacle, you want that 1, 2, 3. How did you leave the first match of WrestleMania? How did you feel about Jey Uso? He's now world champion.
Yes.
We're in the Yeet era. How do you feel about entering the Yeet era?
I'm excited to Yeet, but I did kind of feel like at the end, like, oh, that was it. I was pleasantly surprised, though, they kept my attention throughout the whole match, which I was afraid that, is it going to be one of those ones where, like, my ADD takes over and I'm like, oh, what's going on here or whatever. But they did really good.
I thought the pacing structure was good for that match. I think It did start off, but you expect it to start off with Gunther rolling out of the ring, really playing into the heel mentality. The interesting thing here for me is, if I look at this from the totality of the situation, is what do you do with Gunther? Having him tap out was about as far to the other side of how you think you would want Gunther to come out of this match. If he comes out taking a pin, you can tell that story differently. But coming out and being choked out, I don't think we see Gunther for the next 3 months. I think it's Gunther break time, which rightfully so, probably well-deserved. He had the long Intercontinental Championship run where he was the longest IC champion ever.
Yeah.
He had a very long World Championship run. I think I would hide him for a little bit, rework his character, figure out what worked, what didn't work, and then bring him back in a couple of months ready to go. I think if he shows up, I mean, he can show up and say goodbye or whatever, sometimes they do one more. But if it's just business as usual for Gunther, I think that's a miss. I think now is a good opportunity. Give him some time. He's earned a little rest and vacation. I think that it would be nice, keep him off TV for a little bit, and let's bring Gunther back in a situation that makes sense. The New Day, they set the Raw Tag Team division back onto the right course by defeating the War Raiders, who were dressed as Clash of Clans Vikings. I thought we had scrapped the whole Viking thing. Then now we're coming out as cartoon Vikings. I'm not a War Raiders guy. Of all the matches tonight, I said it in the Discord, this was the one I was least kind of intrigued by, but I love the New Day. So the fact that the New Day walk out of here tag team champions, and now we're progressing a New Day storyline, that made this all worth watching and sitting through. Nothing in that match was bad, exactly as I called it when I was talking about the preparation for this match. You were going to get the backflips from Ivar. You were going to get the big spots from the War Raiders. But I don't think that the War Raiders have the bag of tricks that it takes to excite people for WrestleMania. This was serviceable. This was exactly what you need. What's not going to be talked about is this is the type of match you have to have when you come out of something like Jey Uso that completely exhausted the crowd.
Yeah,
you need a cool down match. And I think this was the kind of match where during the match, maybe people they're taking a deep breath, they're coming back down. But at the finish of that match with the New Day winning, I think all of a sudden there was an intrigue of like, oh shit, that's 2 title changes right off the bat. It feels like WWE is not going to be worried about the optics of changing titles. Our guy Snuggles even said that this kind of felt like the beginning of a great reset, like of WWE kind of resetting the table moving forward.
Yeah.
How did you feel about the New Day match? I know you didn't see, you were cooking it at a certain point.
Yes.
So you didn't see, you just tell me if you didn't see what.
I wasn't totally familiar with the whole story. I love how WWE always gives you the 5-minute recap of everything.
Sure.
So I caught up and I was like, oh shit, I had no idea all that stuff happened. And people were mad at the New Day now. And I liked it.
Yeah, so New Day are bad guys.
Yeah. I kind of like it though. And then I saw bits and pieces of it, but when I found out the New Day won, I was definitely like, oh shit, okay.
The New Day's gear was fire.
Oh yeah,
the New
definitely.
Day came out. They came out WrestleMania ready.
I asked you. I said, do they all have one designer that makes everybody, or does everybody have to get their own
I don't
costumes?
know the ins and outs.
I'd like to know.
Yeah, I don't know the ins and outs of where everybody gets their WrestleMania stuff made,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely think best dressed of the night goes to the New Day.
Yeah.
I thought their stuff was fire. The unicorns on the back, the kind of fur, all that stuff.
There's bones on the back.
Yeah, they came looking ready to go. So after that, then we got Jade Cargill and Naomi, who exceeded every expectation I had for this match. I think the whole new package of Naomi works. I know we've lost the glow. I know Skylar, our 10-year-old daughter, didn't love, she kind of turned to me and goes, wait, she doesn't do the glow anymore? I said, no, she's a bad guy. Then immediately she turned on Naomi and goes, oh, I'm a Jade Cargill fan. But I think that was the plan, right? The plan was to shift the focus to Jade Cargill. Now, there were questions asked, specifically in the Discord, but I've seen them online as well. we were going to find out tonight if WWE got what they paid for in Jade Cargill. And the simple answer is yes and no. Okay. I don't think if this idea is that she's going to be another Bianca Belair who can move around the ring, who is super athletic, who can do a lot of wrestling stuff, then no. Then we didn't get what we paid for. If the idea is we got a superstar, we got somebody who is serviceable and who can work a match with Naomi and can be a babyface, yeah, no, the answer is yes. And I think that's what we're getting with Jade Cargill. I said, I think the expectations need to be kind of switched away from Jade Cargill being a workhorse and being like a Bianca Belair and start to focus on Jade Cargill more like a big show. She's a spectacle. She's an event. It is the look. It is the entrance. It is the entire package of Jade Cargill that makes a little bit like, and this is a very big reach, and I don't mean this in complete terms, a little bit like The Undertaker, okay? In the sense, I know The Undertaker was a great worker.
Like it's a feeling.
It's an experience to come experience the Jade Cargill situation. And that doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be all about wrestling. It's going to be a lot about what she brings to the ring as far as just complete character and things like that.
No, I mean, I think that like her entrance is so important. And I had asked you, like, do you think it matters when they do these outdoor WrestleManias if it affects the like the feelings that you have with all the lights and everything?
I think it does. I do think it does. I think there's just nothing that you can do when it's light outside to me. And I've never loved that. I think as far as like, you know, Jade Cargill's entrance usually has lasers and you could kind of see them, but I do think that when it is light outside, it is tough to replicate that entrance. And I do feel like as it got darker in the night, the excitement level does grow just based on like CM Punk's entrance being phenomenal, Roman Reigns' entrance being phenomenal, Seth Rollins' entrance being phenomenal. But I do think once the lights go out, it's easier to give that feeling. Like I think Naomi's entrance with the whole caution tape and stuff like that, I think in the right situation with the right lighting and stuff, that can be her new song. Is kind of like a harder rock version. That can be a very, you know, kind of, it's never going to be the glow experience, but it can be an experience as well. But I just think when it's, you know, the sun's out, the roof's open, like you said, it's tough to get that energy, and you do have to rely very heavily on wrestling. I don't love open air stadiums for WrestleMania. I know they seem to enjoy it, but I to me the lid closed and the ability to do all of the lights and stuff you want to do to me is more important as far as that goes. But I don't think it took that much away. Like I said, tonight really the stage, the story, the well, maybe not less the story, but the surprises, they kind of took a secondary role to what I think we're going to see tomorrow night, which I think is going to be a stark difference tomorrow night, is going to rely heavily on the typical WWE style of here are surprises. You know, we now know Lyra Valkyria has a surprise partner. We still know Randy Orton has a surprise opponent. We still expect for some surprises to happen in the Cody and John Cena match. So I think what I really believe is Triple H said here, I'm going to show the world we can do one night of WrestleMania just wrestling. And they did that extremely, extremely well. I don't think I had written down here, but El Grande's match was somewhere in between here. So for some reason I skipped it. Once again, though, I thought another match that exceeded my expectations, being that it was, you know, all of a sudden last minute you've got to throw, you know, Rey Fenix in there instead of Rey Mysterio. That has the potential to put a kind of a hitch in things, and I think it just all went off perfect. I think that I ordered my El Grande Americano mask during the match because, well, seeing the entrance, seeing the story that they told before, it was phenomenal. They are invested into this character that is El Grande Americano, and that's the right thing, I think, at this point. I think, to me, once again, though, this was a match that showed wrestling. It showed what can't say it's Chad Gable because I don't know it's Chad Gable. Okay,
Grande
so
Americano.
it showed what El Grande Americano can do in the ring. It
Yeah.
showed what Rey Fenix is capable of doing. And the IWC is always going to go, well, they botched, they didn't do this right for AEW. That's fine. You tell whatever story makes you guys feel comfortable and helps you sleep at night. But from what I saw tonight was, man, whoever's under that mask for El Grande Americano, he can go. He's got a motor. Rey Fenix, he could go. He's got a motor. Like this whole new partnership with AAA between WWE buying them and being able and having access to these lucha style wrestlers.
Yeah.
This is going to be fun. This is going to get real wild here in the next coming months as we see, how this situation unfolds. But we also saw Jacob Fatu look like an absolute savage tonight. And once again, where WWE was like, you want title changes? Fuck it. We'll give you title changes. Jacob Fatu is the new United States champion over LA Knight, and I'm here for it. Well, I mean,
I told you, I was like, LA Knight was in the commercial. Of course he's going to win.
Man.
He did not win.
No. And the question becomes, what do you do with LA Knight? Somebody who is so over, and a year ago was so over, and I see the comparisons being drawn from LA Knight to Jey Uso and going, why didn't LA Knight get the Jey Uso treatment? Well, number one, LA Knight fell victim to the Roman Reigns era. Roman Reigns had that title locked up. You couldn't do anything else with it. They were still trying to establish the World Heavyweight Championship. So I think LA Knight fell victim to timing when it came to his big moment. I still think they're not worried about LA Knight. Like, you can get him, coming out of WrestleMania, you're going to need fresh blood challenging for these titles. I think this is a little bit of a graduation for LA Knight. I think this is a little bit of, okay, you've done your work in the mid card. It's now time to move you up and let you play in the pool with the big boys. Yeah. And I think this was a kind of coming out party for Jacob Fatu because he's a beast, man. He is a beast.
He freaking move for a big dude.
Everything. He just does everything so well. I thought his entrance felt big. I like the fact that they didn't have Solo get involved in the match. I think that down the line, now we can set up for what we expected to see at WrestleMania was Solo versus Jacob Fatu. I think Triple H put that in his back pocket and he goes, we could do that down the road, but now there's a title involved. Now Solo Sikoa and Jacob Fatu can fight over a United States Championship, and that makes that, to me, a great situation moving down the road. But then we get to Tiffany Stratton, and Tiffany Stratton finally got her get back on Charlotte Flair with Tiffy's missing teeth and all. I don't know what that situation was. I don't know if there was blood in her mouth. I don't know if she's missing teeth. What I do know is the optics coming out of that match are the same optics that Britt Baker had with the match with Thunder Rosa, and that is all of a sudden Tiffany Stratton went from the blonde Barbie to the blonde badass. Like, I think there's no question now from anybody, IWC or casual wrestling fans, that Tiffany Stratton is the real deal. She held her own in there with Charlotte Flair. Charlotte was being extremely stiff in that match. She was giving shots, and Tiffany was giving receipts right back to her, and those two went at it. Shout out to Charlotte. To put her over, whether you like it or not, whether she wanted to or not, whether that was the original plan or not. That's what went down, and Charlotte went out there like a professional, and she did the job. But Tiffany Stratton comes out of WrestleMania looking like an absolute savage. And this is the same person that 3 months ago, I remember people saying she can't talk on a microphone. She's not ready. She doesn't have. And my whole point was, I thought, you have Charlotte win and you build Tiffy up. I think Tiffy proved tonight, fuck that. There's no waiting. I'm here. I'm ready. I can go one-on-one with Charlotte Flair. There's a part of me that still wonders. I still believe when Charlotte won the Royal Rumble that every intention in the world was for her to win this match. I think when they got into this verbal pissing match and Tiffany stepped up and verbally bitch slapped Charlotte Flair, I think WWE went, we don't got to build her up. She's ready to go. Let's just roll with this. The crowd's behind her, and she can lock one in the chamber and fire it off. Let's do it. How do you feel? How'd you feel about the whole Just the whole Tiffany Stratton packaging. They went back and laid into the Barbie
So
stuff.
I was so excited to see that. That made me like super happy. I love when Pat McAfee said, "Oh, she's in the middle," because I literally was like, "Oh, who's on the other side?" And then I was like, "Oh, that's her." And then I thought that she looked amazing. And then I saw Charlotte come out, and I was like, "Oh my God, did Charlotte copy her outfit? Like, did they know? You know?"
Yeah, that is weird. I don't know if that was a plan, or I don't know if Charlotte just knew. I mean, you knew Tiffy was going to wear pink, right?
Yeah,
That's
so maybe
pink belongs to Tiffy. Maybe
she wore
Charlotte.
the baby pink, and then she incorporated her baby blue, or
Yeah.
like blue, like which is her color or whatever. This then girl brain is what I correlated to.
Yeah.
And then like I thought that the wrestling was phenomenal. I saw her come out of the ring, but I didn't notice that she was missing the teeth till the Discord told me. And then I was like searching on X and like, oh my God, this is her face. And I was like, that is going to be like one of those epic photos that like you see later on.
It's the Britt Baker situation, right? It's what elevated Britt Baker in a lot of people's eyes was the face covered in blood. I thought Tiffy's mouth was bleeding, but there's clearly dental work in her future after that match. But I think, you come out of that thing, you feel like a badass.
But she kept on going, and it didn't affect her wrestling, which I think just shows, how good she's gotten.
And I think the fact that the conversation I saw in the Discord, the conversation I saw online, was a lot of people questioning Charlotte. And I think that a lot of people didn't think they'd be questioning Charlotte coming out of that match. Like, ooh, I don't know if Charlotte can still go with these young girls. I think a lot of people expected for Tiffy to be the one that had to play catch up. And I think Tiffy was fucking ready. Like, you could tell there's people who live for the moment, and Tiffy had gassed herself up. I think the best thing that happened to Tiffany Stratton was Charlotte Flair taking a low blow and waking her up and going, shit, this isn't a team game. I've got to come prepared.
Wasn't Tiffany Stratton like a competitive gymnast before she was a wrestler? Yeah, so I'm sure that like she's got that like competitive spirit in her. As soon as you light that fire, she's gonna turn it on. And
yeah, but that doesn't always equate in wrestling, because you still have to show up and do the wrestling. And let's not forget, Tiffany Stratton is still very green when it comes to like wrestling time. She is 25 years old. She's only been main roster for about a year. Before that, she did not have a long NXT run.
No.
So everything is still to talk about like 3 years ago, going from where she was to now being in a title match at WrestleMania and winning against Charlotte Flair.
She was the youngest one on this card, right?
I believe so. Yeah,
Nice.
I believe the graphic they showed before Rey Mysterio got hurt was Tiffany Stratton youngest, Rey Mysterio was oldest. I don't know how that probably was CM Punk was probably next.
Oh.
If it wasn't Rey Mysterio.
Yeah, I don't know.
And then let's talk about the main event, right? Seth Rollins is the soul of the industry. This is what he said he was going to do. He picked up a win against Roman Reigns and CM Punk with the help of Paul Heyman. This was one of the possibilities that we had talked about, but even talking about it, even predicting it, even, saying what if, it's still something different when it actually happens and how it happens and the artistry and the story. And this is going to be the ultimate moment where the IWC comes in and they will try to shit on this parade. But the problem is, this was a masterpiece. This was cinema. This was very few times in the year we talk about. A lot of times Roman Reigns is involved in these moments, but very few times we talk about when wrestling, everything just is right. Everything went right tonight in the main event. It was the Paul Heyman coming out with the CM Punk, the optics of seeing Roman Reigns by himself, the dominance of Roman Reigns at points in that match going, oh, he's still got it.
Yeah.
He's still the man. Seth Rollins kind of desperately hanging on to, he is the workhorse. He is the guy, and he is the soul. And then you have the argument that has to be made. CM Punk could be the biggest name in all of pro wrestling right now. He got the last entrance. He got to have the band bring him out. He definitely, when the crowd starts to debate and they start to do chants, it always feels like the CM Punk chants just a little bit louder than everybody else's.
Yes.
It just feels like you maybe have like a group of Roman fans, you have a group of Seth Rollins fans, but everybody is a CM Punk fan. And so there's an argument to be made that CM Punk is the biggest name in all of professional wrestling right now. And if you're Tony Khan, you had to watch tonight, night one of WrestleMania, and just go, what the fuck am I doing? Ray Phoenix goes out there and puts on a match. CM Punk is in the biggest match of the night, of the year, possibly the biggest superstar in the match. You now on night 2, you're looking at Cody Rhodes, another guy that you just had to treat right. If you're Tony Khan, you've got to be looking around and going, maybe my ship is on fire. Maybe this bitch is sinking. Maybe I've got to figure out how to manage some of these people and keep them happy. Because it looks like to me, a happy CM Punk goes out there and does a job for Seth Rollins, right? He goes out there and he's crying to be in the moment. All he wanted was to be in the main event of WrestleMania with Paul Heyman, and he got it, and they told a story, and it's a match that's going to be talked about. It's classic. There were so many. For you, I don't know. Do you enjoy the match?
I thought it was awesome. So this is one of those matches where you tell me, like, pick your favorite person from here. Like, it would be hard for me to decide which one of the 3 that I like the most. And for me, that's exciting because that means no matter who wins, I'm going to be happy. But I definitely did not see Paul Heyman doing that.
But that's what makes this match so special is all of the IWC and the haters who coming into this match were like, there's not enough story, there's not enough history, the nuance. You enjoyed the match, and I can guarantee you that most of the references in that match went over your head. There is so much history.
100%.
The chair shots from Roman to Seth, or the Seth to Roman, are reminiscent of the turn and Seth Rollins. And the story of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins has always been Seth has the upper hand. For Roman being the guy, the ultimate guy in all of wrestling, and being the guy who has held the title and the company guy, Seth Rollins has always had the one up on Roman Reigns, and that was the poetry of tonight, and CM Punk being the outsider, and the moment where it looked like, oh shit, are Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns, like, they're coming back together. We could see a reunion of the Shield, but then Roman breaks that up. I just think the little nuances of that match were fantastic. The fucking tables, they got those new tables that just exploded when they hit them. I thought every element of that match, from CM Punk and Seth Rollins going out and working the crowd, it captivated ultimately what night 1 was, and that was just pure wrestling, just old school storytelling wrestling that didn't rely. Sure, some people are going to point to the Paul Heyman thing and go, well, there was a surprise, right? I don't know if that's a surprise as much as that's just great storytelling. That's not something, a lot of us expected that. A lot of us deep down inside believed that's what we were getting. But it doesn't matter. The orchestration, the way they got to that moment, to me was absolutely fire. The question is now, though, when you come out of night 1 like this, can night 2 live up to what night 1 did? And I've seen a couple people who go night 1 was underwhelming. I saw that about halfway through the night. I'd like to know if they still felt that way after the main event, because I think what you saw was what I talk about is the ultimate way wrestling is supposed to be booked. It's a crescendo. It is supposed to, from match 1 being great energy, but everything kind of rose to that ultimate moment of Saturday night. Whereas tomorrow, I think it's going to be more of the WWE style of bam, boom, bam, in your face. Here's a surprise. Here's a different story. Here's some shit you didn't expect. Here's Becky Lynch. Here's Rusev, right? Here's The Rock. He said he was in Hawaii. I expect that's what we get in night 2 versus night 1 being just straight wrestling. And I think when we look at the orchestration of WrestleMania in its totality at the end of the weekend, you're going to look back, and the science of it is going to be night 1 was to shut the IWC up. Night 1 was, we can do wrestling. Don't get it twisted, guys. We can do wrestling without all the lights and the bells and the whistles. And then I think night 2 is going to be, but when we reach in the bag, I think night 1 being what it was with what we were given is phenomenal. I think the fact that night 2 is so heavily loaded with Bianca Belair, with Io Sky, with Cody Rhodes, with John Cena, I think ultimately, like, we are set up for a spectacular night 2.
Yeah. I mean, night 1 definitely exceeded my expectations.
Yeah. I mean, I think so too, because I made the comment on our pre-show that I thought without a bunch of surprises, this could be dangerous.
Yeah.
Triple H chose to go without the surprises, but everybody showed up. And that I'm including the War Raiders and the New Day because it was better than it should have been. Mm-hmm. And it was, you had to have that match in position with when you come out of Jey Uso and Gunther, which is so much energy, you got to have a cool down match. And I think it was perfect because, like I said, it gave people time to kind of to vent off, oh, what is this? What is this? And then the New Day won, and we all were back in and like, oh, no, great. The New Day won. The New Day are champions. Yes. So it did exactly what it needed to do, which then led into just boom, bang, boom, El Grande Americano, Jade Cargill, Tiffany Stratton, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns. It was just boom, 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 good wrestling, good wrestling, good wrestling.
The pacing was so good because you know that, like, I'm like, okay, is it over yet? Or like, how much longer?
Yeah.
Because sometimes it can be too long for me.
Sure.
But I never felt that this time.
I didn't either. 4 hours went by fairly quickly.
Was it really 4 hours?
Yeah. 6 o'clock. Started at 6 o'clock.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Ended at about 9:50. So it was about 4 hours of wrestling.
That's
but
crazy.
It moved.
So it went by fast and I didn't even notice it. So.
Sure, so much to be excited about as we enter Night 2 of WrestleMania. Make sure to like, subscribe, and comment on this video. Let us know what match you are most excited for in Night 2 and what match you enjoyed the most on Night 1. There is new merch live right now on casualwrestling.com. No /store needed, just casualwrestling.com. You'll see the link that takes you straight to the shop. I'm the Notorious D. That is Level Up Lauren. This was CWCD. Stay loud, stay loyal, stay casual. Lauren, ring the final bell.
Ding, 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 ding.
Head down, we're ready to rumble. The casual pod don't stumble. No peace, no rest in this fight. Breaking it down.